Welcome back to Sipping and Spilling podcast with your host, Mila. Today with me I have someone very special. She's not only my friend, but she is my client, and currently she's in the Lash bed with me, and we are going to do a very interesting episode, the starting of our series, or beginning of our series, while I lash her. So, say hi!
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Deana. I am one of Mila's friends and client, like she said. I do have my own podcast. It's called 158, and I'm so happy to do a collab on a series with Mila. Thank you, girl, for having me on the show.
Anytime.
I'm so excied for this.
Yeah, me too.
It's absolutely amazing to try something new, and it's really interesting to be talking on a podcast while I'm laying down.
Yeah.
I hopefully will not be falling asleep because it is so soothing in here, and I always fall asleep when you do my lashes.
That's true, but we also talk a lot when we see each other, and we talk about lots of good topics.
Oh, absolutely.
And in one of those conversations we were having, we're like, you know what? How about we share that wisdom with the world? 'Cause
Absolutely.
they need that as much as we.
Yeah, I always like having our, conversations when I'm getting my lashes done, even outside of lashes, because it gives us a really good chance to, reflect on our lives and do check-ins with each other.
Absolutely.
I think that's so needed, and that's kind of another reason why I'm excited for this series, because like you said, we talk about so many amazing things that can help so many people get through any situations that they're going.
Yeah. And that's what women supporting women is all about. This is what this business is all about. And I think we kind of came in full circle. We both have podcasts, and I know we both started them with a reason, of sharing something, having a community. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, personally, and, we're kind of going onto this podcast blindsided, not knowing what we're gonna talk about. And for me, a little bit of reason why I started my podcast, and this is a very personal story, but I think it should be shared.
Absolutely.
Is that I was going through a lot of stuff almost 2 years ago, where I lost my dad. He was battling illness, and I just needed to find a community, to find, someone to talk to.
Yeah.
But after listening to podcasts on my own, I realized that maybe I should start, recording me telling my story and my growth and journey and wellness and, mental health awareness, because I've realized that a lot of people are going through the same issues that I was going through and still going through.
Yeah.
So, a lot of, my podcast and what we talk about is supporting one another, just like you said. And I don't know, I really want to always spark someone's, happiness and motivation on the inside. And I always smile at someone in the hallway when I'm working, because I know, if I smile, it might brighten their day. You never know.
It makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember one of my first jobs as a teenager in high school. I worked at Arby's, just like a cashier, regular job. And it was my thing to, give compliments to as many people as I can, just to brighten up their day. And it was a challenge, depends on what day it is, how busy we are, and so on and so forth. And I just remember this particular situation, a customer comes in, and it's just elderly guy. Well, not elderly, he was maybe in his 50s, late 40s, I don't know, early 60s. And he had an interesting haircut, just a regular haircut, but his hair was standing up. It was short, but it was standing up. I don't see this a lot, so I'm oh my gosh, nice hair, or I complimented it. Oh my goodness, he was blushing so hard.
I bet.
Thank you, touching it. I know this man has never had a compliment about his hair. And I just know, like, that impact, it lasted, and the ripple effect did return back to me in a positive way. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like compliments go a long way.
Yes.
But even though like we are two females supporting each other and supporting other females, we also do have to understand that like men don't really get complimented as much. Like
Sounds frowned
sometimes,
upon.
like they don't have appreciation sometimes. So like I try to compliment, a man sometimes, or like smile at them like in a good way, not having
Not
them
flirting or
not flirting
yeah.
or anything,
Just
but
like positive, spreading positivity.
right, especially like statistically, like based on like my research, there's a higher percentage of males that are going through worse mental health disorders than females nowadays. So I always try to make sure that I'm giving just as much compliment and positivity like I am to like males as I am to females, because we're all human at the end of the day. We all have bad days and good days, and we're always going through something, and I just a smile, that smile is all you need sometimes.
Yes. I just recently saw a video of, I don't know if this person like does it, it's his thing, or it's a new challenge. I don't know. I just discovered this video, and it's like, okay, level 1, you're smiling at people. Level 2, you say good morning, and he's just recording, saying that to people. Level 2, you say compliment. And just like if he went to level 6, like you have to have like a small talk or like a fist bump or whatever. And just like with each level, there was more and more like positive energy. I could feel it through the screen. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, why start at level 1? Let's just do level 6 every day. And it's so amazing, just people minding their own business, walking, and it's a busy street, probably New York or something, and just his little words, just like, you look great today, you got this, whatever, is on your way, you got this, and like, you just cheering people on and inspire them.
Yeah, but I feel like it's hard for people to get out that shell and like talk to a stranger. For me, like personally, like I was pretty quiet, growing up as a kid, even though that I did athletics, and I had like my group of friends, but it took me a long time to get out of my shell. Actually, like not until college, where I actually was able to come up to a random stranger and just talk to them. So it takes a lot of like, guts for people to go up and like even say a compliment to someone, because you don't know what their reaction's going to be.
Yeah. Are they gonna judge me? Are they gonna think I'm weird? Or like trying to get something out of them?
Right. I think we as humans, we're really afraid to be judged or hurt or not get the outcome that we're hoping for, and that's where a lot of we kind of go into our overthinkingness. I don't even know if that's a word, but
you just made it a word.
I just made it a word. Ayo. But
in your eyes.
yeah, I forgot we're also doing lashes here.
Yep, but that's okay. You're just getting a full experience today.
Full experience, chatting it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just I know like sometimes I go to, I don't know if your listeners are mainly, in Minnesota, but that is where like we're recording from. And I go down to like Lake Calhoun area, and it's always packed. And when I became single and was looking for a new group, I knew that like my best friend was living over there, and she's like, hey, like I have a swim club, do you want to take along? And it took a lot, it took a lot out of like confidence to build, to go meet new people, especially it's like I said, it's super crowded in that area, but there's so many different characters and everyone's so open now that you will find your group, and I'm finally finding that group.
That's awesome.
And it took me a while, but like for example, I just, like, over the weekend, I went to Madeline Island.
Oh. Where is that?
It's a part of the Four Apostle Islands, right off of Wisconsin and Lake Superior. And my friend is like, hey, why won't you tag along? The only people that I knew was her and her brother that was on the trip. Everyone else I didn't know. But I, like, kind of, like, got the courage while we were driving there. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be my most authentic self. I'm going to go into this experience with a positive mind. And I'm just going to start by, like, asking their name and joining in on conversation. Because I know, like, I'm a well-educated person. I know how to hold a conversation. It's just about confidence. And, like, now these people are, like, inviting me to, like, the next adventure that we're having. And it's like a community that I feel like I'm a part of after this one time for you to get that courage. And it's hard to do it.
Yeah.
But so rewarding and worth it, because the amount of people that you will meet and the connections that you'll make and the life lessons that you'll learn from them is astronomical and will really build your confidence.
Absolutely.
So.
And it's really worth it in the long run, because before you know it, this could be your lifelong friends.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
One of my now new friends, I was kind of talking to her about, like, this situation where I'm trying to find my own people. And she's like, let me tell you a story. My parents, they were out on vacation one time, and this was, like, she says this was, like, 2 years ago. They were on vacation, and they met this, like, couple, and they started talking, and now they're, like, best friends after 2 years. These, like, random strangers.
That's awesome.
They're best friends, and they go on trips together, and you never know, like, where, and they're, like, they're older now. They're not in our, like, in the 20s where we are. And it makes you think that, like, in your 20s, you think, oh my God, it's, like, crucial to find friends. It's crucial to find a partner. But really, like, you can meet new people when you're, like, in your 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever. It's all about, like I said, just getting that confidence and getting out of your comfort zone and exploring new places, because the world is so big.
Absolutely. And I would even argue, I think it's more important to focus on yourself in your early 20s than, you know, finding friends. Because, I don't know, I barely retained any friends since I had them in my 20s. So
yeah, I mean,
that changes.
I mean, I had, like, a pretty good friend group, and I still love them, but, like, you know, I kind of drifted away from them from, like, certain circumstances, and it happened, you know, friends come and go, but after, like, you know, all the stuff that has happened in my past, I realized that I need to focus on, like you said, me, like, my personal growth, because when you start focusing on you and dating yourself, the right people will come your way, and then next thing you know it, you're building this community that you did not even know you were building.
I agree wholeheartedly. And to add to that, I recently listened to a podcast basically saying the same points, and the person emphasized that when you start taking care of yourself, and when you start showing love that you deserve for yourself, other people who want the same for you will, like, you will attract them, because they will see that you treat yourself this way, and because they want to treat you also good, they will naturally, like, come to you.
Yeah, I mean, my mom always tells me, like, what you put out is what you're gonna get in return.
Absolutely.
So I always try to, you know, put out positivity to attract positivity. So when you're positive, you know, like you said, when you're positive in yourself and you're confident, you know, the right people are gonna come to you.
Absolutely.
You never know when, but it will. And, like, I feel like that's a little bit scary. Like, I'm in the dating world right now. I don't know, like, when I'm gonna find my right person.
Right.
So, like, I just kind of go with the flow, you know. I'm working out. I'm starting like a new fitness journey.
That's awesome.
I am, you know, like I started a new job. I'm meeting with my friends, and like along the way, maybe that right person will come the right time. But and that's a little bit scary because like, you know, you want to find that best friend, you want to find that partner for your future. I mean, for everyone, it's different. But for me personally, like, I want to find my partner, but, you know, like, dating world is extremely hard. And, like, I mean, like, we can continue talking about it if you want, if you have
For sure.
questions.
I
Or
do.
it could be on another, like, episode, you know?
Up to you, girl. Whatever you want to lead, but I can ask you about like the challenges that you're facing in the dating world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, like, and like everyone's experience is different.
Yes.
But for me personally, it's the dating apps. It's just,
What's wrong with them?
they're not bad. Like,
What dating apps are you using right now?
I'm using Facebook dating.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's
Upgrade.
Upgrade, Hinge, Bumble, and my friend told me to try out Cupid.
Okay.
But I've heard like mixed opinions about it, but I'm like, you know what? Why not? Yeah, but like I think it's okay to have like high standards and high expectations. You don't need to like don't settle for less. But at the same time, like know what are compromises.
Right.
And every single time, you know, I go on the dating apps and I start talking on the dating apps, the thing that guys love to do, they're always like, "Can I get your Snapchat?" No, I don't want to get your Snapchat because all you're going to be sending me is like inappropriate stuff. And I'm like, I am trying to make a genuine connection. And even though that on your actual profile you say, I'm looking for a long term or a partner, but then you're doing this stuff, like, you need to, don't do that, please. Like, if you want to just have a hookup, if you want to have fun, state that. But a really big green flag for me is if a person wants your phone number, wants to talk to you, and doesn't want to just be like your pen pal. Like, let's go on a date right away. Let's see if we vibe. If not, that's okay.
Yeah.
Another struggle that I have faced, and I've actually talked to some of my single friends as well, is ghosting. Like, ghosting is a really big thing, and it has grown a lot. And like, I go on a date with someone, we're having a great time, but then I just don't, you know, hear from them. And I always want to text them and be like, hey, you know, what's the problem? And I can give another example later, but they just stop talking to you. And then you just move on. You know, it's only one date. It's fine. Like, you can't overthink this. But you do, because you start thinking, well, what did I say wrong? Or why this, why that? Like, we were talking perfectly on like, the phone, on the dating apps. You know, it's great. A story that I have is I was talking to this one guy. It was really good, and we had a date lined up. And he's like, hey, like, let's talk on the phone. Like, yeah, let me hear your voice, because, like, I can tell based on your personality more. And our conversation, like, lasted, like, over 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Like, it was really
That's
long.
a score.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, okay, this man's really interesting. We have a date coming up in like a few days. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
And then I get a text from him, and he's like, hey, I think we should cancel the date.
Like out of the blue?
Out of the blue. And I'm like, may I ask you why?
Yeah,
And he's
you at least
like,
deserve that.
right. And he's like, well, because I don't want a boss as a wife.
Oh my gosh, get
And
out.
I'm like, listen, this isn't like the 1800s females can have a voice. They can be CEOs, business owners. They can be in VP, like high positions. They can have opinions. They can vote. Obviously, yes, it's nice to have like the feeling that the guy, is chasing you, wants to pay for your dinner and, hold the door. But at the same time, like, if my partner wants to succeed in something that he is passionate about, I would want the same thing to go vice versa. I'm here for a partnership, a friendship, a cheerleader, because I put in my 100% and I would want the same back. I don't think that there is like 50-50. I think there is 100-100. When I heard that, I'm like, I dodged a bullet there. I'm like,
I think so.
It's not my fault that I have like, a strong mind, but I do have soft skills, like I can have that feminine part in me. It's just, I do sometimes, and I'm gonna be honest, I do come off, strong and independent, but that's who I am, know? I'm very proud of my successes, and I would want my partner to be proud of me as well, because I would be proud of him.
Yeah, and we need women like that in the workforce.
Right.
They make great leaders.
Absolutely. I did have another like encounter, not with a date, but
I
with
love that encounter.
It was a old friend of mine. We're not friends anymore. But I was kind of like talking about like female empowerment and like starting your own business and self-growth. And he just straight up tells me, he's like, I don't think a female should ever be president.
Oh my god. Just like you just telling him about your accomplishments, and
right.
He just drops that on you.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, sir, please tell me why you think that. And he's like, well, females are just too emotional to make large decisions. I'm like, speak for yourself, you major drama queen. Like, come on. There are different types of females,
Yeah, I think we need a little pattern change.
I'm just saying, I think like a female that brings in a little bit more soft skills, but still very strong-minded and headed. Just saying, like, we could probably maybe have better communication when there's a more gentleness.
Gentle approach.
A gentle approach, yes. That gentleness is not a word.
No, I think it is.
Is it? Okay. But still, like, I think men, maybe it's just like, I'm just not lucky. I haven't found like the right men around me. But like, men just have this like expectations of like the good old days, but it's 2024. In a few months it's going to be 2025. Things have changed, people have changed, expectations have changed.
Yes.
And a lot of people, like, it's not like a female trying to find a husband for, to support them. Now females are looking for partnership.
Yep, like actual work.
Actual
support.
Right. Marriage relationships, they are hard. They really are.
The main goal is no longer to pump out babies, but it's to have like actual like fulfilling relationship.
I mean, a lot of people like they're having kids later and later in life now because they want to grow as individuals and as partners.
Yes.
They want to accomplish and they want to travel and see the world because there are these opportunities now. To go back to your question, yes, dating is very hard, but it is also very fun because I have had times where it did not go anywhere. The guy didn't ghost me. It didn't vibe, but I made a connection and you don't know what will happen. Like, there is some guys that I still talk to and they became my friend. It happens. But do I recommend dating apps? It's a luck of a draw. Mainly if you get lucky. But, personally for me, I mean, I'm on them because who knows what will happen. But they're not that fun.
I see.
I do like to feel like I can find someone organically.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I do stumble across someone on a dating app, we do have a connection, maybe that is my soulmate. You never know.
You never know.
It goes back to what we were saying previously. People come mysteriously into your lives and when you least expect it.
They really do.
So I'm just saying,
What is, out of the apps they're using right now, what is your most favorite? What has the most positive sides, angles?
I haven't had any positive side. I do
Not
have...
even on Hinge? I think that Hinge is like one of the best rated.
Yeah, I mean, I've had pretty good conversations on Hinge. It just never led anywhere. I mean, I am trying the new app, Cupid. I actually do have a date that I'm going on through that app. So, we'll see. I can report back later.
We'll report back on the second.
Yeah, we'll report back on how Cupid is. But I know, my roommate, she met her boyfriend through Hinge, and they've been together for 3 years now.
Wow, good for them.
And then I have another friend, she met her boyfriend on Bumble. They've been together for 2 years.
Nice.
So, I mean, it goes back to saying, it's kind of about, luck, in a way. My aunt, she's getting married this weekend, and she met her fiancé through Facebook dating. So more and more people are finding their soulmates through online dating because, after COVID and everything, everyone's working remote or, they're just at home more. Now I feel like we're finally getting out of our little, caves. But it's normal to find people on dating apps. Just for me, I haven't found someone yet. Not that I'm in a rush.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to think that maybe my soulmate is on this dating app and I'm gonna have an instant connection with him and we're gonna build a wonderful life. But you never know unless you try.
Yeah.
And one recommendation I do tell people, when you're on dating apps, watch out on what they say and make sure that they're not catfishes. And another thing is, if you're gonna go hang out on the first date, make sure that it's in a public area.
And not a Friday night.
Yeah, not a Friday night. Just make sure it's in a public area and someone you know and trust has your location. Like my roommate, she has my location, just in case. You never know.
And if you don't have anyone in your life to send a location to, you just book an appointment with me, and then you share the location with me.
Absolutely.
And I'll square up if I have to. Your Lash artist will come and rescue you.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. If I did not have anyone I could share, I would totally share it to you.
I got you, girl.
Oh, my God. And, I tell this to everyone, just share me your location. I'll be there to support you. What was your experience with dating before you got married?
I had none.
Well,
my husband is my first boyfriend and my last, so I didn't have diversity in my dating experience. I had only one person, and I think he just hit it right from the spot. From the beginning. So I liked his approach. My husband's very traditional. So he was opening the doors for me, just, taking care of me as a lady. Yeah. And I really liked that. Had no issues about it. And here we are. We're 10 years together, actually.
Wow.
Since we started dating.
It's amazing.
How many years? 5 years married. 4 years married. 4 years married. I'm jumping ahead.
Almost.
Right.
Yeah.
So, guys, take notes.
Yes, take notes. I mean, I would agree. It's nice to have that traditional, but I feel like your husband, even though that he does have these traditional traits, he still is acceptive for you starting your own business.
Absolutely.
And your podcast and your dreams and goals. I mean, it's really not too much to ask.
No.
You know?
We had people ask him if he's okay with me starting this business, especially when I started podcast. He's like, why not? Or honestly, even when I became a Swiftie, and they're like, are you okay with her, liking Taylor Swift that much? He's like, well, he's not a Swiftie, but he has no issues with me liking Taylor Swift or listening to her music. And it goes, like, with him not having an issue with me having a business. It's like same perspective. Like, why should I bother with that?
Right. I mean, you have your own identity, you know?
And he respects that.
Exactly. And that's absolutely amazing. Just like he has his own identity and you respect his hobbies and likes and dislikes. You have to, appreciate and love all the perfect imperfections in your partner. And I feel like that's hard sometimes.
Yep.
But
I feel like once you accept yourself more and dedicate more time to yourself and the betterment of yourself, it becomes easier because you kind of, your relationship is a reflection of how you treat yourself for the most.
Right.
So I did notice that just like with friends and in relationships, it's like how you treat yourself, it's a reflection. You can't treat someone else really nice but not do that to yourself.
Wow. I'm actually getting like shivers while you're telling me this.
Are you
like,
serious?
Yes, that's super deep.
I've just discovered that. Like yesterday I was on a podcast roll. I found these amazing podcasts. I will share them with you.
Oh, please do.
I don't know the names.
That's okay.
Off the top of my head, but I will put them in the show notes and I'll share them. Amazing women. One of the podcasts I know for sure, it's called Healing, or I don't know, but it's something along the lines of Healing Black Mother Wound. So she talks about basically healing as a daughter from mothers. So if anyone has a painful relationship or anything, some situationships with your mom, like I do. So it was an eye-opener for me, really good.
Well, yeah, I feel like, relationships, they are reflected based on your relationship with parents as well.
Yes.
My relationship with my parents were, amazing. I was really blessed. Like, my mom is my best friend.
That's awesome.
My dad, when he did get sick, I feel like I got closer with him when he was ill. But he was really big, like, into business, traveling all the time. So personally for me, I was always trying to find that male connection. Not that I didn't have it, but there were things like lacking in it. That's why I think I was always jumping into one relationship, the next relationship, the next relationship. And then now, like, after my dad passed and my previous relationship ending, I kind of, like, stepped back and started reflecting on myself and realizing, why is that? Like, I can't be blaming my dad or my past relationships on these lack of stuff that I am needing. What is it, like, what is the lack of within me? What am I missing?
And that's a big question you ask yourself.
It's a really big question. And I feel like everyone goes through that moment. And after I started, talking with myself more and reflecting, I did realize, yes, a little bit of my dad focusing on his business more and I mean, still being a part of my life, but still having his distance, did want me to have, a boyfriend, a male figure. But it was also like, I need to be okay with being on my own and not needing a male figure. And that's hard. That's really hard. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head.
Yes. I agree, and I think, well, you didn't grow up Christian, did you?
No, my family is, they are from the former Soviet Union. They grew up in Minsk, Belarus. and they moved here in 92.
Okay.
And, you know, during the Soviet Union, you weren't even allowed to be religious, period.
Mm-hmm.
And my family were Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
So being Jewish then and even now is kind of like scary to identify as.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, no religion in my household until I kind of brought it back into my family. So I did not grow up Christian. I did grow up Jewish, but it was mainly more, we believe in God, we're more spiritual, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I always say, I do identify as Jewish, but I'm not really practicing anymore, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm a very, open-minded person, and I love to learn about different religions and cultures, so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my grandma, on the other hand, she's a little bit more on the religious side, which
Okay.
absolutely understandable based on generation differences.
Absolutely.
So.
The reason I asked is I came from a Christian background,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents were not Christian to begin with, so they transitioned on their own.
Interesting.
And so I was born already in it, although my older sisters, and we're almost 20 years apart, they were not. So they converted with my parents.
What were your parents previously?
None.
Oh, atheist?
No, back then it was Orthodox was the main religion,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody really practices. You just go there once a year for Easter to get
Gotcha.
to get some holy water in your eggs. So they were like that. They were not practicing. They were not believers, but they were not also wearing crosses on their necks,
Mm-hmm.
or usually Orthodox people do. But neither were they really into seeking. So I grew up with the mindset instilled in me that my only goal as a woman should be to find a man when I'm of age, ripe age 16. The older the better for them. And my goal should be to get married and then get kids. And my parents, till this day, that's what they value, and they don't see anything else different, because they believe that's how you serve God, and that's how you get the life that you deserve in heaven. And I remember even in church, especially in girls' camp, we had these topics constantly revolving, constantly marriage, what do you look in the guy. They were training us.
Oh boy.
And I remember at age 11, I remember this so clearly. It was my first time getting with the girls. It was girls camp, really secretive, the teacher brought her wedding dress. We were going to talk about these topics. And back then, you're interested in these topics because your brain is developing, you take your curiosity, in that side. And I remember she told us to start praying for our future husband.
Oh boy.
And I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable praying for my future husband because at age 11, I didn't know if that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that, I learned that God is almighty and he works in mysterious ways and he has a plan for me. So what if his plan is not for me to get married? That was my thing as a kid. And I was not, ready to get married. So I had just this one prayer, and I was uncomfortable. I'm like, you know what, God, regardless of what they tell me, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm okay with no husband, and if you send me a good husband, so be it. So I focused on myself, just like you said. I was, focused on getting friends and just having fun, and then my husband noticed me. He noticed me a while, and he was building up the courage to talk to me. Well, we were teenagers. But then my family decided that we're gonna move back to Ukraine. It's over. We don't like United States. We're moving back. So we moved all of our things first, furniture, everything.
Oh.
And we, I had a goodbye party with my Sunday school. Moving back forever. So that was goodbye to his imaginary girlfriend.
Oh.
But then I came back 3 months later.
Oh.
And when he saw me, he's like, okay, I had to shoot my shot.
Yeah.
It's now or never. And yeah, 10 years later, we're still here.
Yeah. What, if I may ask, what brought you guys back to the United States?
My mom's decision. She was the one who decided to go back, and my dad was not against it, and I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we lived back home for 3 months, she decided that she does not like it back there.
Yeah.
So we moved back, and we haven't moved back to Ukraine ever since then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you're married, so
Yeah.
It's pretty much like what you and your husband decide.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and that kind of like shows like really what we're talking about is that
Yes.
you started focusing on yourself,
Yep.
not knowing what the outcome is, and like boom, the right person came along.
Yep. I just believe that, whatever the plan is, it will be right for me.
Yeah. I mean, and I do understand like where you're coming from with the marriage and getting married at a young age.
Yeah.
Because my mom, my grandma, my aunt, they all got married at like age 18, 19. And that was normal back
Yes.
then. And if you did not have a kid before age 25, whoa, like what's wrong with you kind of
Yep.
thing. But for me, like with my upbringing is I did have a little bit of that, but over time, like my family became a little bit more open-minded, and they're like, you need to get like your education, your career, and it's okay like if you don't find your person till age 30. I mean, obviously,
Wow.
yeah.
Can you imagine hearing that from a Slavic person?
Yes.
Slavic boomer?
Yes. I heard that from my grandma.
That's awesome.
Like, I can understand my
Your
aunt and
grandma
my mom.
broke that generational trauma.
She broke it. She's like, you go find your happiness. But, like, yet she still is like, did you find a boyfriend yet? I have a man for you. Can I send him, like, your picture and phone number? And I'm like, Grandma, were you a matchmaker in your past? I like every single time she like says like, I have a man for you. I have like the song from Fiddler on the Roof, matchmaker, matchmaker, find me a something like that. And like
she has her own dating app.
Yeah, her own dating app. It's called grandma.com find your love.
Love it. Simple and to the point.
Yeah. My upbringing was a little bit different than yours for sure. It's still there. Like, the cultural stuff is there. Like, you still want to have a husband, have kids. I mean, it's different for, I feel like, Americans. Way different. Like, I know a few of my American friends, they don't even want to get married, or they don't even want to have kids. And for me, like, that's okay, that's their life, their opinion. But in my mindset, I'm like, women are bred, not bred, but women are, designed to bear children. They have this wonderful gift. And, male and a female and a wonderful connection and different, hormones and everything. Yeah. It's amazing what God has created for us to enjoy and explore, and why not use it? I always do try to tell people, like, try to have at least one kid. And the reason why I say that is I work for a nonprofit senior living. I know residents that, never got married, never had kids, and they're lonely. And they have no one who comes visits them, no one to take care of them. And, sometimes, like, in the medical field, we're short-staffed. So sometimes they don't even have, like, a conversation with anyone, except their TV. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you don't want to get married, that's okay. But maybe have at least one kid that will come and take care of you, who wants to come see mom or dad at the senior living and chat it up for a few hours, go on vacations together, but I do understand children these days, they're very expensive, and having like the what's that word, the responsibility of raising a human it's scary, you know. Child development, it's a little scary sometimes. It's amazing but scary. But still, like, I just see my residents sometimes, you know, really lonely, and I go talk to them, obviously. But they don't have families, and it's really sad. And yeah, I want to hug them all the time.
Aww, you're so sweet. And you know, if you are unable to have kids for whatever reason,
Right.
create those communications, connections with just people, and that's what we're circling back to. Just be nice to people. Like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to put yourself out there and create these connections, because who knows, maybe you'll find yourself a friend who's in the
Right.
same boat, and you know, you'll be just living your single life together.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, like, there's so many amazing children that need to, you know, be adopted, you know,
Yes.
that are going through really tough times in foster care. Like, I personally am thinking, like, yes, I want to have my own, you know, children, but maybe I also want to adopt because a wonderful kid needs a home.
Oh, you're so nice.
So, you know,
She's single, you guys, and she's already thinking of adopting. Like, that's wifey material right here.
yeah, I like told myself, I'm like, if I don't get, you know, married or anything, if, you know, God does not provide give me a man on a platter, then I am going to have a child like on my own, either
Oh, girl.
adopting or, you know, like a sperm bank. But mainly I would be leaning more towards adoption. It's just, I think it's so hard to explain. Like, I had a friend, like, she was adopted from Russia, and she got so blessed with these amazing parents, and the story that they told me of where she's from and what, like, adoption center she was living in, it hurts my heart. Like, these precious children all alone, like, wanting the comfort of a parent. That's why I'm like, if I don't find a man by the time I'm at a certain age, I will be adopting. So, but that's my personal preference.
I had the same, like, plan. I was like, yup, we're gonna be just opening orphanages.
Yep.
And, like, who else is gonna do that if not women?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of like where not all women, you know, but there are also men with, like, really amazing, kind hearts that wanna provide that warmth to a child as well. But I do feel like, you know, children, they do mainly attract more towards female, because we have those motherly instincts right away. Like, my grandma, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm like bumping things over here.
Okay.
I like to talk with my hands, you
That's
guys.
okay.
But my grandma, she owned a daycare, and even though I was, like, really young helping her out with the daycare, I had these, like, instincts just right away, and I couldn't grasp, like, how am I like, good at helping, like, my grandma with children, changing a diaper, or helping with development, or giving, like, a warm hug and empathizing with them.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of like in our, you know, female DNA.
Yeah. Comes to us naturally.
Naturally. So I do, like, I do hear when you say, like, we need, females, they'll open up these amazing orphanages, but, you know, male can do it too.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's more leaning towards females because of our natural instinct.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I don't want to deny ever women joining the workforce or, you know, becoming CEOs, bosses, having stronger opinions. I do think we've been living in the patriarchy for way too long, and I think it's time to change things.
Yeah.
It's damaging at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That way.
So I have a background in human resources. And DEI is extremely important when it comes to any company, really, especially in this day and age. So I feel like incorporating different cultures and different religions, females, into like big conversations can bring a company to an enormous different step, because of all these different views and opinions. Sometimes it's a little hard to have a lot of opinions and views. It can cause to a lot of different arguments and disagreements, but it can bring an amazing view on, marketing, bringing profit, expansion, anything really. So I do believe that we do need more DEI in companies, to have that opportunity for the company to show its true potential.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We bring more perspectives, different angles for things, and just expanding overall the circle of the workspace.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Wow, good topics.
Good topics. Oh my goodness. I feel like we're there's like different episodes all mushed in one. Like, cuz just with like DEI and companies in general, that can be like a whole different like episode. But, I'm sure like the listeners can like comment on more topics if they want, and we can for sure make like an episode of just that specific topic. Just like, this is part one, we're just chatting it up.
Thank you so much for being here with us, my dear listener. Until the next